And then the final piece that I always talk about when working with folks at Carolina around Gen AI are the ethical and environmental considerations. So generative AI takes more energy and water usage than sort of traditional forms of AI. Sajad Moazzeni estimates that Gen AI takes between 100 to 1,000 times more computational power than previous forms of data analysis because of that requirement that it has about the massive amounts of training that it goes through. It also takes larger amounts of water to cool those data centers. So Pengfei Li and colleagues found that GPT-3 needs to drink or consume about a 500 milliliter bottle of water per 10 to 50 medium length responses that it generates. So you can imagine that at scale, that is a substantial amount of water usage for a limited resource. So best to be aware of what the cost is and making sure that it's being used responsibly. Misinformation and bias are also present as they are in most systems of information. So because these tools are trained on historic information, they have that historic information and perspective bias built into it. An example might be, the tool maybe sees more frequently used the name Turkey for the country and will provide that instead of the now preferred term Turkey. Another thing to keep in mind, as I mentioned previously, is data protection, especially when used in sensitive settings like health insurance or the financial sector. And then copyright is also a concern to protect intellectual property rights. There's some ongoing litigation about the ingest of copyrighted material by artificial intelligence crawlers, and that could include things like our faculty's publications. So that's often done without the consent of the intellectual property holder, but that's the question of whether that is an appropriate use is still sort of making its way through the systems.